Hello, this is the Muzilog Magazine Podcast, and today we have a guest in the building, Mr. Bob Pfeifer. We want to welcome him. This is a different kind of interview. This is more of a conversation. We're going to kind of just do the chop up thing and just talk about interesting things that we're doing. And Bob, we want to know a little bit about you. I met you, roughly a year ago.
Yeah.
Through Hannah Bolt.
Yes.
And LinkedIn. Shout out to the LinkedIn platform. It's a good thing that LinkedIn would have a guy like me, there with what I do. And, it's a really good connecting tool. Similar to when MySpace came out. Do you remember when MySpace was out?
Sure. That was the first connector, right?
One of the first ones. Well, actually, it's the first. I think.
I mean, on that level where people were posting their own, their own pages.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing to even venture into that. Do you believe, right? I'm going to give you some interesting info. Would you believe that to this day, and I don't even use MySpace anymore, I made more money on MySpace. Like if I compare MySpace to High Five and Facebook and all the other platforms, right. When MySpace was happening, and I met film directors, I met artists, I met poets, and some of these people I'm still connected to today. Interesting. Yeah. And so when I measure the value, I'm like, wow, I'm still benefiting from MySpace.
So what do you attribute that to?
It was open.
Facebook, there was a bigger mix of people, and it was exciting.
Yes. So it was open. I think Facebook was more your friends,
right? Your friends,
and we need to be friendly, and these friends over here, but you want to secure it, and there were all these little walls inside, and
MySpace was probably more of a discovery platform than Facebook.
Yeah,
people were putting their music up. Labels were signing people off of that. Mm-hmm. It was a brand new thing. People built a fan following as opposed to a friend following. I think you're right.
Yeah, and I met a cross section of people, man. It's crazy. So I guess it's true what they say. When technology comes, it disrupts something else.
It's disruptive.
So I want to know a little bit about your journey. And there's I found out something really interesting while I was prepping for this interview. I think it might blow your mind. It might blow your mind a little bit.
Okay.
But, why don't I just jump into it? All right. So when we were discussing or pre-discussion, you mentioned that you signed Ornette Coleman.
Yep.
Jazz great. Saxophone extraordinaire,
genius.
And what inspired you to actually sign him?
Well, Epic. I just got my A&R job, and Epic Records said we want to launch relaunch Portrait, the jazz label. And I said, they said, what do you think? I said, you want to make a splash? There's only 3-4 guys that are going to. And I thought I was listening to serious jazz like Ornette and stuff. And Ornette had not been able, Ornette refused to sign with anybody for about 20 years.
Ooh, okay.
And Bob Palmer, the head of the New York Times editor for music, had been a friend and a fan of my band. So he had gone to Morocco and did the Jujuka music stuff with Ornette. And so they were very tight. And I said, Bob, would you get me an introduction? Would you vouch for me? He said, absolutely. And I ended up hanging out with his son, Donardo Coleman, a lot.
Okay.
And we hit it off. He trusted me and we did it. And we had a, very successful jazz album. I think it was number 2.
I'm just being nosy. Was there some sort of a philosophy why he didn't want to sign with anyone, or he went through some sort of experience?
There was. I mean, I think it's a public story. Miles Davis got $1 million for, I think, maybe Bitches Brew or something around then. And Ornette, I don't think and Ornette wanted $1 million. It was something like that. And I did not pay him $1 million. I found something that meant more to him than that. And I probably shouldn't say that, but I made sure that happened for him with his catalog at Columbia Records.
Amazing. So let me tell you what's an interesting nugget here, because I've done a lot of interviews. I know when you said the name to me, Ornette Coleman, it sort of it registered, but it didn't fully register. A few months ago, I interviewed another jazz saxophonist by the name of Jeff Lederer.
Sure.
Lederer, you know Jeff.
I think so. Yeah.
His latest record, he does some of the music of Ornette Coleman, Oliver Nelson, and Eric Dolphy on his last.
Wow, Eric Dolphy record. Too.
Yeah. So while I'm doing the research, I'm like, wow. So my mind just went into a whole popping thing. Like, my God, I said, Bob isn't in this story.
Well, I mean, Ornette's a genius. I can't. Wow, that would be really hard to cover Ornette.
Well, he did it. He did it on this project, his latest project.
Wow.
And as a tribute, he felt.
Oh, sure.
He was really inspired by these three saxophone greats, and he felt compelled to do an interpretation of some of their rare pieces.
I mean, I think that to any saxophonist, Ornette, I don't know if you know Fab DuPont. He mixed Bad Bunny's last record. He's a producer up here in New York, and we're hanging out.
I can check him out. I don't know, but I can check him out.
Checking out BandM8. And when he heard I did Ornette, he goes, do you know, when I was at Berkeley Music, I sat in my room trying to play him all day for years.
That reminds me of, I'll give you another joke off of that one. When I started programming music, I didn't fully understand the difference between using a drum machine and a sampler. So Low End Theory comes out from Tribe Called Quest.
Right.
I mean, the beats, the drums was just booming. I had this little studio in Fort Greene I used to call it the Green Room, but it was like a little 4x5.
Well, you weren't far from Tribe Called Quest,
right? So I'm in my little green room, and I'm trying to program my drums, and I'm like, what the hell are they using? Obviously, Bob Powers mastered the hell out of the record, so I'm there with my little MMT8, HR16, and some other things, had some Korg units. And I'm trying to kind of get the drums to sound the way that it should on something I was working on, which was part of the growing pain. And then, I was hip to, they're using samples. You gotta get a sampler. And I'm like,
yeah, look at Walk on the Walk on the Wild Side cut, right? And with New York.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. So I did do another thing, and I want to know the story. He's smiling.
Okay.
I want to know the story. There's a song you have I checked out.
Oh,
it's either called That Might Be Stupid or something like that.
Maybe it's stupid.
Maybe it's stupid. What was the story behind that creation?
Wow. When you that's an interesting when you when you write lyrics, right, you just imagine scenarios, right? And that's a scenario in which your partner, when you're realizing your relationship might be stupid. It's this ambition is stupid, and that person's heading down a dark path. So
I see. So that's the songwriter part of you there. That's
yeah. That's why I started. I started making music before I started signing music, or before I started making creativity tools.
Yeah. So you followed the pathway.
Yeah, I think it makes a difference.
Oh yes, it does.
I mean, I could talk to Ornette Coleman because there was some musical connection, as opposed to
Yeah. Okay. So I just thought I would.
Where'd you come up with that one? That's obscure.
Hey,
Okay.
The internet and
research
and research and even with AI today, they really go in. They're like, and you're like,
I know. I know.
So I thought I'd just throw you a few.
No, that's fine.
Blind balls,
cool.
But you're batting them great.
I'll tell you something. That particular song, I really. That's not the most commonly referred to song, but it's one I really like.
You see, I tapped in.
Good taste.
And I'm sure you have other creations that other folks would probably marvel over too.
I was just getting some correspondence last night. There is one song called Refrigerator Door that Kurt Cobain from Nirvana had called the Stairway to Heaven of Punk. And so there was a chat going on, and then I got called into it where, because there were different people who had referred to that song, Chris Cornell, Mark Lanigan, people and so it's interesting you bring it up this morning, because that's why I was up later than I wanted to be last night.
Okay.
I got brought into this chat about the I guess the roots of that song or the people around it. So, thank you.
So, when you write your book, you just have so many layers you can take.
Well, when you write your book, Sam.
I started. I
bet you did.
I don't know what I'm going to call it though. I started with the Man, the Music, and the Mischief, but I know so many people that if I follow that path, some people might get offended. So I'm going to work on it. I'm going to work on it. So before we jump into the tech that you're involved with, and I'm somewhat involved with it as well, I'm curious to get a little bit of the Alice Cooper story.
Oh, Alice.
A little background, I think, would be cool, just to know what that story was, and so we can relate it to the tech that we're doing today.
Well, Alice, and he's still a friend, and his manager's a friend of mine. Well, again, I was at Epic. My first signing was Ornette Coleman, so I go out and sign a very avant-garde jazz guy. So the next thing I come in with is a guy who hasn't had a hit in about 15 years.
Like night and day, like.
Yeah, and totally. Like they thought I was crazy, right? How do you even hang out with those two people? And Alice was, but I loved Alice when I was a kid. School's out, that early stuff was like, to me, growing up in Ohio, in Midwest, was Cleveland and stuff was really the roots of it all. He hit harder for me than like Bowie in that period, right? Okay. So anyways, I don't know, somebody from his management company invited me to go see him. I went to see him. Actually, Guns N' Roses was opening, and I thought, I don't like it. Oh. I went to sleep that night, and I woke up and I went, but I could like it if we got different material and we got like maybe different people in the band, right? And he was kind of getting harder and heavier. And I thought, to me, 18 or School's Out were pop songs of that era. So let's do it. And I thought, oh, what if I get Desmond Child to come in and write with him? And then let's try this. So then I called him up called his manager up the next day. I said, can I meet Alice? And Alice was totally cool. He's up for everything and he could sing better than ever. And I went, let's do this. And then, then I got Desmond Child and a bunch of other people on the record, and we went double over budget. So now I'm a kid with a jazz record going double over budget on, like, I'm crazy, right? With a guy who hasn't hit in 15 years. And we had the biggest record of his career, the second biggest record at Sony that year, I think only behind Michael. And we did 5 million units worldwide on that back then, and it continues. And the hit song Poison is, he still tours and does great business. So, that's what, and he's a great guy, just like Ornette. I think everybody I signed, I think, are great people.
Well, I think, the little I'm learning about you, it's sort of like you sort of tapping into a certain vibe around, and it's because some people, they look for like a formula, and sometimes it's hard to explain what that formula is. You say, well, what's an A&R, and what does the artist manager do? And I'm in that world where I'm actually an educator in that world.
Sure.
And as an instructor, I work towards sort of simplifying it, where it's not about the definition you read in the book or what the definition is given, but at least bring that definition to life, where I simplify it a lot. And I say, it's sort of like if you have 3 teachers and one is like really lax, and then you'd have one kind of in the middle, and then you have one that's really strict. But then when you grade that student, they kind of like grade the student in the same area. And everyone has a different role that they play. So you might have an A&R that's really strict, and then you have one that's like, it's chill, and then you kind of have one in the middle, and then you sort of have similar results. So you can't really say, well, you're not too serious, and this one you're too serious, and So what I'm seeing is that you're sort of like you're in the moment when you meet these people. And you like, hey, this person could do it. And, and I like the story when you said, you woke up and you said, but I could like it. I mean, it's like your mind went to work. You actually challenged your mind to go to work. And then you came back with a solution. Wow. Yeah.
No, with that. And I think this, if you've played, you have to adjust yourself to the other people. You can't treat Ornette Coleman the same way you treat Alice Cooper,
true,
or Elton John, or everybody's like different. And and if you want a success to achieve something together, you have to find a way to maneuver and to relate to that person, be able to communicate. Some bands would say I was very strict. Some, I went through every lyric with them, or and other bands, Ornette was just like, let's just do it, man. You're great. Let's, And I just facilitated. I had, he's the genius. But
and again, not that your method was wrong in any aspect. It's just that your approach worked for the situation.
Yeah.
So if you had to be, tooth and nail with someone, then that's what you had to do to get them to greatness. And some folks, they had certain things already covered. And it's just a matter of let's fly, And,
exactly. But that as a teacher, right? You do students differently. I mean, probably the person I was strictest with years later paid me the compliment that I helped him learn how to write songs. Like many years later, many successes later. And I was, wow, that blew me away. But at the time,
he probably didn't like you.
Well, he liked me, but at the time it was like, I remember really Case, he had great lyrics and great songs, but I was like, your verse can't be 22 lines. Like, I kind of take a pen to the paper, and I was doing this, and he was like,
hey,
but you can, if you want it to be a certain kind of poetry in music. Mm-hmm. But if you're trying to make a rock record or grunge record in this case, you can't. You need the intro, verse, chorus, maybe a bridge structure.
Mm-hmm. A few benchmarks, because you leave the audience out. The audience will be like, "Yo, what's this?" Right?
Yeah, you can't do 2 minutes of a verse at that point in time.
Yeah, there's only one meatloaf. You know what I mean?
Right. You know, but he later appreciated that, which I was shocked at and very happy about, because we stayed friends again, despite being strict or something. We stayed friends.
Okay.
So you just opened BandM8. Here's the deal. This isn't a type a prompt and get a song sort of thing. You play or upload an idea, and BandM8 builds around what you've already got going on. You're still the one writing the song. To get going, record or upload something that's at least 30 seconds and has a steady tempo. That last part really matters. Pick your instruments, but don't go crazy right away. Keep it simple so you can actually hear what's happening, then add as you go. Then play with volume, density, polyphony, reverb, whatever gets you closer to what you're hearing in your head. When you hit generate, it adds new things to what you already played. It doesn't change anything in the recording you've already submitted. Like where it's going? Download the MP3 and share it with your friends as is. If you want to get more detailed, download the MIDI, throw it in your DAW, and change the editable MIDI into a different key. Change the tempo, move some notes around, change the bass line. The MIDI is fully editable, so you can change whatever you want and use whatever VSTs you prefer. That's really it. Play something, let it respond, keep building, share it with your friends.
Like that, part of the purpose of our conversation is that you're involved with a new technology. I'm saying it's new. I mean, you've probably been working on it for a minute, but it's a new technology. And I actually introduced it to some students recently at Full Sail. And, so we've been doing some testing. I, sent it to a couple of people to check it out and see, so who would gravitate to it, so I think we're probably going through that phase right now to see, test it out and so on. So let's talk about it. It's called BandM8, and then you're one of the founders. So maybe the grandfather of it, what was the inception of this like?
The inception was really making a music creativity tool. If you wanted me to, the line in which you raise money and everything, it was, Rock Band or Guitar Hero 3.0, except you don't use plastic instruments. You really bring real instruments in. And that's what everyone went, great, we're in. And that's how the money was raised and the support, literally on that line. And then the technology had been, supported by NVIDIA. They were close with them. We're in their programs, and the idea was just really to twofold. Kids today, everybody, you as an educator know, they're no longer. When you and I were going around, we would go to other people's studios or houses or whatever, and you'd play. Right. Yeah. And there was, that's how you played. Now everybody's online. And what I hear from a lot of teachers and people is that they have a big dropout rate because really the kid goes home and does scales or something at home and they don't have anybody to play with. Yeah. So I thought, let me give them something to jam with their computer in the tool that they're used to using.
Yeah.
And those are the kinds of things. And then it was a big surprise to me is like, I went to some pros and very early on and turned them on to it. All of a sudden they wanted it for the and I was going, look, I thought it was for kids. What are you doing with it? And they were using it like as a generator. So they would generate a bunch of notes and off their input, let's say they had a verse to do. And then they come back and cut up and they go, oh, that's it. And I go, well, you can jam with anybody. They go, yeah, but I wouldn't think of this stuff. And they using it. And that's more of a compositional use of it, right? Yeah. There's some people doing soundtracks that use it, but basically so people know it's different than all the other AI tools in the sense that it's not text based. It's not text to music. and we haven't trained or stolen any copyrights or used anybody else's music, and it's MIDI. So, we couldn't have stolen any recordings. And what it does is you give it an input, a melodic or chordal input, and it will generate. And those notes, you can move them to your DAW, you can do whatever you want with them and play with them, but it gives you accompaniment. And you, Sam, I mean, you should talk about it. I watched your sessions. I remember calling, going, who's this guy? He's like going right for it correctly. He knows how to use it. He's a real player.
Yes. So what I like about the platform right now, you have it in two systems where it can be like a plugin. So, you can bring it into your DAW if it's in a GarageBand or digital performer. I'm really a digital performer guy. But of course you have Pro Tools, you have Logic and various other DAWs out there. So I like that convenience. And then I like the fact that, you can just go straight to the web page and, if you have a quick idea to test out, you can do that. When I met you, it didn't have all those tools in the front on the homepage, So when I saw the tools, I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Sam, I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to do more. I'm actually looking at acquiring a sound library.
Okay.
And I'm looking at making an app, and I'm looking at, you're going to be able to overdub. You're going to be able to do like without a DAW.
Oh, okay.
Like, so how easy it is.
Which is actually the natural progression to take it, to where we are right now with the technology. Yes.
I want it to sound better. I want the feel to be more humanized. And I want, again, the easy convenience for anybody to get to music. They don't have to be an engineer. I don't want, you don't have to be an engineer. I mean, I remember I used to always work in the studio, right? The old days, you have tapes, you have studios. All of a sudden you have Pro Tools, and it was so jangly. I gave up. Then I did, then I would goof around with, GarageBand, but it was, by the time I got an idea that I had my head down, I'd spent 2 hours trying to figure out all the stuff I had to do first.
It kills the creativity too. Because if you have an idea and then you're like, okay, well, how do I get to do this? And so you want to eliminate all of those issues and just jump right into create.
Yeah.
I'll share this with you. I would buy software and I'll be in the middle of creating, and then it will just stop and say, hey, get the second disc you had and punch in this number. And because they had all these these theft checks with it. That used to kill my creativity. I'd be like, why are they doing this now? I'm in the middle of trying to put this music together, and it wants to make sure that the software I'm using, I got it officially. Well, and even some of the plugins you'd be using in a DAW, and then it's like, hey, you need to check the date on this or put in the serial code, and you're like, okay, really?
It's all a mess. And then you had, remember the iLock systems and all these systems of security drove me crazy. But maybe we should say that since we're kind of in an open beta, I'm providing everything free. Everything's free right now, and whatever you generate, you own it.
Before we run away, the other thing I like is that you give the parts in MIDI. So even if I don't like the tone that's given to me in the platform, I can take the MIDI, import it into my DAW, which one I'm using, and then I can switch the tones to
do whatever you want to it.
It could be a better piano, it could be a better bass, or not really better, but
it's better. It can be better.
It
can be better for what you're doing.
Yes. In terms of that direction, and actually, and it enhances your creation. I actually showed the students, both ways where, you can work on the outside, pull it into your DAW and take something from there and put it into the program, and it will, analyze it and give you something back. And then you download that and you bring it back in here and then match it with everything. You're in the right spot. You're in definitely.
I hope so. But we are the only MIDI one too. But that's why that's why composers use us.
Yes.
So, and also we did MIDI for a couple of reasons. One, I didn't want to go the audio route and rip all the master recordings.
Right, because then it would have to
break copyright. I don't want to do that. You know, obviously one group of people did, and they're getting sued, but they're still successful. But but most people, you know, are stuck now. But the other thing is, we wanted the ability to jam, which you can do on the plugin, and to get something to respond fast enough, it's got to be MIDI. You can't have audio of that fast. And so those are the reasons. And then it turned out it was all this production ideas you're bringing up because it's editable at that point.
Yes.
You can play with it.
I'm happy we're having this conversation, you know, because there'll be some people that never heard of BandM8. They'll say, hey, you know, let's check that out and contribute to the overall thing that you're looking to achieve.
And I appreciate your support and having me on and doing this. And I looked at the clock and I went, geez, this is going to be 15 minutes. And now we're 40 minutes in because you're so easy to talk to. You're talking about my favorite artists in the world and stuff. So, you know, that's easy.
Okay. Now, is there anything you wanted to add that I didn't get to ask in the interview?
No, I just want to thank you.
Well, actually, the discussion. We're having a discussion here, really.
Yeah. No, I want to thank you for this. And I'm really impressed with your work, which is why I'm here.
Well,
that's it. Thank you for spending the time. It's a weekend and I appreciate it. So, you know.
Thank you.
See you, man. Let me know when you come up to the city.
Yes.